Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Game Sleep Repeat, and hopefully there'll be many more to follow. I'd like to just jump right into it and get my YouTube legs wet and do a couple of reviews for some indie games on the Nintendo Switch tonight. Just a quick side note, my channel is not going to be all indie game reviews. I'm hoping to segue into some bigger and better stuff, maybe even do some live gameplay of some of the exciting releases we have coming out for Nintendo Switch and Xbox this year. Sorry PS4 players, I just don't have one. It's not that I don't like them. With that being said, let's jump right into our first game, Caveman Warriors. So this game is a side-scroller indie game. Obviously, it's Caveman Warriors that you're playing as. It's 1 to 4 players. My first impression was not very great of this game. It starts out really kind of slow and very dumbed down, but as you go, it actually gets a lot harder. I found myself dying a few times, not even from the enemies. Sometimes just the map itself was whooping me up good. You have 4 different cavemen you can pick from. You have Mo, who uses a battle drum in the most literal sense of that phrase for his weapon. Then you got Liliana, who has a spear with a snake that's wrapped around it, and I believe bites people as she stabs them, so that's pretty sweet. Then you got Jack, and he has an axe, so I mean, I think he's your most basic choice there. And then you have Brienne, who will smack you around with a hunk of dinosaur meat attached to the bone still. So, like I said, you know, the game starts out kind of slow. The enemies aren't super great, but as you kind of progress along the level, it starts to move very fast, and you get a few new interesting enemies. The game is very colorful, has pretty good art actually for what it is. The boss was a unique boss battle at the end of the first level. It's quite an interesting game. I'm not a huge fan of side-scrollers myself, but this one I think is definitely worth looking into. And it actually does have a demo on the eShop currently, so if you're still on the fence about it, it's worth checking out, I think anyways. So the next game I'd like to talk about is a game called Chromagun, and it is basically a Portal copy for the Switch, but no less, it is just a fantastic game. It starts out a little slow, and I even thought I was only going to be in it for like 5-10 minutes, and I was going to put it down, write it off, and go to the next game to try and get through and review. But I found myself addicted to it and playing it for nearly an hour. In this game, you use a gun that shoots red paint, blue paint, and yellow paint, and you can mix those to make various combinations of colors. You use the paint itself to manipulate these spherical robots onto pressure pads to unlock doors to get you to the next room, amongst other things. As you advance through the game, these spherical robots start to have spikes on them and are attracted to the colors in your gun, so you have to move quick, you have to shoot them up with some paint and get them stuck to another wall, take a breath and figure out what happens next. So not only do you have to think hard, but you gotta think fast in this game, and it makes for a very interesting game. It has some cheesy one-liners, kind of like the Portal series. I think a lot was really inspired by that game series for this one. It's a lot of fun. It really took me by surprise. Like I said, I was in it for an hour and I was sold. So if you like those kinds of games, it's definitely for you, and there is a demo on the eShop just in case you're still on the fence about pulling the trigger on it. So I did a silly thing and totally forgot to mention the prices on these two games. Caveman Warriors is on sale currently for $12.99, and Chromagun is on the eShop for $19.99. Both actually fairly good prices if you want to pick up a cheap and decent game. So before I go, I'd just like to rehash what I was talking about earlier. I am planning on doing bigger things than just indie games. I do have plans to get some new equipment so that way you guys can actually see the gameplay for yourself. Planning on doing day of game releases for a lot of major titles coming out this year, next, and any year past that. If you guys have any suggestions for games that you would like to see or hear about, please put them down in the comments below, like I said before, and I will absolutely do my best to try and get that review out for you. I'd also like to do a lot of footage for day of game releases. We got a lot of major titles coming out this year, especially for Nintendo, which I'm really excited for. You know, we got Mario Party, Let's Go Pokemon Eevee and Pikachu, and then Super Smash Brothers, all of which I definitely plan on having some live stream up for. Anyways, that about wraps it up for the very first episode of Game Sleep Repeat. I appreciate you guys watching so much. I hope to get continued support from you guys. If you could please subscribe, that'd be super appreciated. And remember, Game Sleep Repeat.